everybody. Welcome to the For the Town podcast. My name is Brian Doback, the pastor at Stream Song Church, and we are for Doylestown. And the purpose of what we do is we're seeking to discover the God-given creativity, the passion, and the drive of people and leaders within the Doylestown community. And we do this by interviewing local professionals, people of all walks of life, entrepreneurs, philanthropists, educators, business leaders, people in governance, employees of all levels. And we really want to celebrate people, get to know people, highlight people and what their role in their community, and then give you a path on how to connect with them. So, man, today on the show, we have Jack. Jack, how's it going, man?
Hi, Brian. Good to see you. Hello, everybody. Glad to be here.
Can you introduce yourself, your full name, and where you work?
Sure. My name's Jack Dugan. I'm a resident of Doylestown Borough. I own Doylestown Escape Room right here on South Main Street in Doylestown Borough. I also write, design, and produce all of our escape rooms along with my wife here at our facility in Doylestown. And I also have a location in Chestnut Hill, Philadelphia called Chestnut Hill Escape Room.
Awesome. Jack, tell me about a little bit about you personally, man. So I understand you have a wife, you got a couple kids, right?
Yeah, so my wife Heather and I live here in Doylestown Borough. I have two smaller children, Satine and Keanu. One's in middle school, one's in high school. And I also have three stepchildren who are grown, Jordan, Gabrielle, and Mitchell. And they live in various parts of the country doing their own thing, and they're all grown up. So
awesome.
I also have two dogs, Apollo and Harper, who live with us, and a couple of cats. And yeah, that's pretty much my family.
That's a full house, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Where do your stepkids live out around the country?
Yeah, so I have one in Ohio. I have one in South Korea. And I have one in Charleston, South Carolina.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
So it gives us cool places to visit.
It really does, man. Yeah, actually, Charleston, we love Charleston. My wife worked there for a few years, and if retirement exists, we actually want to retire to Charleston.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite towns, for sure. Love it.
Man, so do you have roots in Ohio? Is that
Yeah, I'm actually from Northeast Ohio. I'm from Girard, Ohio, which is kind of a little steel town on the suburbs in the Youngstown, Ohio area. So yeah, my parents still live in Ohio. So and I also, like I mentioned, I have a stepson and grandkids back in Ohio, so we still go back there and visit quite a bit. So yeah, that's where I'm from.
Awesome, man. Yeah, that's my wife. She was born in Columbus, and she has family in Sydney, which I think Sydney's on like the opposite side of Ohio.
Yeah, it's kind of near like Dayton, Lima area over there. Yeah.
I've been there a few times to Sydney, and man, it's just like flat and fields.
Yeah, that's most of Ohio for sure.
Yeah. Now, are you kind of like a LeBron James fan, or nah, you don't really care that much?
I'm not a huge basketball fan, but I certainly know, having family back in Ohio.
Yeah.
I certainly know, I have a brother and sisters and sister-in-laws and brother-in-laws there. I certainly know, how invested Ohio people are in their teams. And, I know the Cavs bringing that championship back was a huge deal. So
yeah,
I can appreciate that.
So when did you come to Doylestown, and how did you make your way here? How'd that all work?
Yeah, so I spent 20 plus years in the pharmaceutical industry in various roles. And I started out in Ohio, shortly after I graduated from the University of Toledo. And I spent some time in Ohio, and then I ended up down south in Alabama, and then Florida, and then I kind of worked my way up through the corporate world, where I went to home office, which is in Florham Park, New Jersey, for the pharmaceutical company I worked for. And I was moving up here from Florida, and I had started to look at places to move to in New Jersey, and the CEO for my company actually lived in Doylestown, and she's like, hey, before you buy anything in New Jersey, before you buy a house, spend a weekend in Doylestown. Like, you're going to love it, And I looked on the map, and I'm like, no way am I going to live an hour and a half from the office. But, Heather and I came up here, and we spent a weekend in Doylestown, and we definitely fell in love with the borough. And we got a house the next week, and I've been here ever since.
That's awesome, man. What kind of precipitated you to go from like pharmaceuticals to to what you're doing now?
Yeah, I put a lot of time in the corporate world, and I'm certainly thankful for the opportunities that I had, and it was really a great career for me. I think I got to the point in my life where I was kind of ready to leave the corporate grind, and go out on my own and see what I could do myself. And we were on just another typical vacation one year. Gosh, at this point, it's like 6 or 7 years ago. And we were on a vacation, and it was really hot outside, and we needed something to do. So my wife booked us for an escape room. We had no idea what it was for. So me, my wife, my kids, and my granddaughter, Callie, we got together, and we went to an escape room. It was down in Tyler, Texas, and we had the most amazing time. And there were no escape rooms around here. So we figured, man, we really should open one of these in the borough. Like, people are looking for new forms of entertainment. So basically, while we were on that vacation, I wrote our first 2 escape room adventures, the storylines and the puzzles. And on the way home, we got a hold of our realtor, and we had touch base with Todd McCarty over at the Doylestown Inn. He gave us an opportunity to rent some space over there when a lot of other landlords wouldn't even talk to us. And by the time we got home from vacation, our little venture was started.
Wow.
And since then, we've kind of grown from, one little hotel room, one little office space over at the Doylestown Inn, to now having, our own facility down here on South Main Street. So it's been a really fun journey. It's happened really fast, and we've just been fortunate to have, a great opportunity and a great town to do this in, and great people to support us along the way. That's
awesome, man. That's a really great story. My dad is actually in the pharmaceutical industry. He's been in it for like 40 years now. He jokes he doesn't know how he's made it that long.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a grind, but it's a very rewarding, career. So kudos to him.
Yeah, man. What's your couple of favorite things about Doylestown? Like, do you have like a favorite restaurant? What are the good places to you in Doylestown?
Yeah, so like, we love living in the borough. We live on Ashland Street here, so I mean, we're always walking around town. We always find an excuse to grab a coffee or hit one of the shops, or find an excuse to go grab some lunch or dinner. So, we kind of do everything, right here in the borough. So I have so many favorite restaurants. I think I would feel guilty, like, picking one out. I know that, my wife and I, we really love like a good beer selection. And, Pag's Pub has a fantastic beer selection. So that was actually the first place we went when they kind of opened the floodgates and allowed some outdoor dining.
Yeah.
We've also been to Station Tap House, who have a great beer selection, and we just heard today the Hattery is reopening soon, and that's another place we love. So we're really looking forward to getting over there too. So many places that I love. We've gotten to know our fellow business owners and all the great servers and employees in these various places, and we just love being a part of this town. The camaraderie here and the friendships here, and it's a great feeling when you can walk through your town and just about everybody that you see. I think I've always kind of wanted that in my life, but we never really stick around in one place long enough to have that. So I'm really glad to have that opportunity here.
That's awesome, man. Do you remember the last restaurant you went before the pandemic hit? Do you remember that?
Yeah. I believe we squeezed in a visit to Villa Capri.
Great.
For some tomato pie and a couple of beers before things got locked up.
Yep.
I might be wrong, but I think that was we knew it was coming, and I think we squeezed in as much fun as we could that weekend.
Yeah. We went to the last place we went to, and it was actually the first time we went to this place, but Damani Star.
Great place.
Right before a pandemic hit, and it was so good. Delicious food. I'm actually that might be the first place we go when we get past this. But as far as I understand, places are opening now, which is great, right? So
yeah, head in the right direction.
Yeah. Man, I understand. I gotta call you out on this. I understand you're a Minnesota Vikings fan. Is that right?
Oh yes.
Can you justify yourself? Can you explain that to me?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, as far as not being an Eagles fan, I'm not from this area, so there really wouldn't be much of a reason for me to be an Eagles fan. But growing up in northeastern Ohio, it was funny. Growing up, the Youngstown area was kind of split down the middle. Half of the people in Youngstown are Steelers fans. The other half are Browns fans, right? So growing up in a family of Steelers fans, Browns fans, all my friends are either Steelers or Browns. I've always kind of been a contrarian, for better or for worse. And I think I've always looked for ways to be different. And as a kid, you don't have a lot of options, right? So, one of the few things I could control as a, 9-10-year-old was, that I don't like the Browns and Steelers. So, I had some family members who were Vikings fans. I had a cousin, and my dad, actually liked the Vikings. They had some great players in, late 70s, early 80s, Tommy Kramer, Anthony Carter, Chris Dolman, and the Vikings were on Monday Night Football a lot back then. So I had some access to actually see them play, and I just kind of hung my hat on the Vikings, and I love football, and, I just my love for the Vikings have grown, and I could say since DirecTV was invented, so I would say that was probably mid-90s. So I'd say since 1995, I don't know that I've missed a Vikings game.
Wow, awesome.
And my son and I also trek to Vikings road games too. And we also go to Vikings home games in Minneapolis. So we're diehard. I passed along this curse to my son, Keanu, and we watch every Vikings game together, and it's just kind of our little deal,
That's awesome, man. I definitely empathize with your contrarian ways. I'm actually a Giants and a Yankees fan here in Philadelphia, and it doesn't go well with a lot of people.
Yeah, man, I was at that NFC Championship game for the Eagles and Vikings.
Yeah.
So that was really the pinnacle of, you know, not enjoying a football game. And I know the Giants aren't very popular around here either. So
I miss the days. I really liked Dante Culpepper. Those were some good days for the Vikings. Randy Moss and Culpepper.
oh my gosh, Chris Carter, Randy Moss, Dante Culpepper. You had Jake Reed there. You had Robert Smith, Ohio State running back, who was awesome for the Vikings. Yeah, man, some great memories watching the Vikings.
That's awesome, man. What are your? I'm just curious. Like, what are some of your hobbies and your activities that you like to do?
Yeah, so probably like a lot of my fellow business owners, maybe even more so because of the nature of my business. I'm in the games and entertainment business. I would say that I'm fortunate that my personal interests and hobbies are really mostly my work. I mean, obviously I love spending time with the family. We go on vacations, we travel. But in terms of my personal interest, I spend most of my time writing or designing new props or creating puzzles or building sets. I have a lot of square feet down here to work with. I really enjoy my work, and sometimes I have a choice between golfing, which I'm absolutely horrible at, or coming to work and doing something that I'm good at. A lot of times I'd rather just come to work, and it's fun. And my family's involved in my business, so it's really great because it kind of brings together all the things that I love the most. Creativity and art, spending time with the family, being part of the community. I'm also very interested in astronomy and space travel, and different aspects of science. I do a lot of reading and listening to podcasts and audiobooks on those subjects. I like physics, and I kind of dabble in that a little bit just for fun, although I'm not great at math. But those are kind of, watching football games, hanging with the kids, that kind of stuff.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I actually love science as well. My favorite movie, hands down, is have you seen the movie Interstellar?
Yeah, that's the Matthew McConaughey, right?
Yeah, that's like my favorite movie.
Yeah, good movie, good choice.
I'm also fascinated by the universe, space, and when I saw that movie, like after I watched that movie, I went on this like kick for 2 days where I researched black holes, and like I learned everything I could about black holes. It was really cool, man. I appreciate that kind of stuff. So you're this kind of can segue into what I want to talk about next, which is your business, but you're like very much like the creative type. Like you love like creating and writing and stuff like that, which I really appreciate. When it comes to escape the room, like tell me about, like I'm really curious about that process. Like, can you take me from beginning to end, the process of like creating the story and then also like the room and how that all comes together?
Yeah. So I think to start, I'll kind of explain in a nutshell in case someone doesn't know what an escape room is.
Yeah.
Right? So escape room is basically a series of rooms or a room that are kind of built like a movie set that really engrosses a group of players in another place, another time, and creates a story that they're an active part of. So they kind of work themselves through these rooms, solving mysteries, solving puzzles, solving problems, working together, where they actually advance through a plot as if they're the stars of the show, right? And their ultimate goal is to accomplish a mission or solve a mystery, or sometimes it's even to escape a particular place or situation. So that's kind of what it is. So when I'm designing and building an escape room, regardless of what kind of games you're making, it's all about a great story, right? So it always starts with a great story that I feel like people want to be told, a story that I feel like people could buy into. But it also has to be a story that's fantastic enough to catch people's interest, right? So first I write a great story, and then I think about what types of puzzles, what types of mysteries, what types of clues or riddles can I incorporate physically into this story to engage players and make them an active part of it. So from there, I actually write out what puzzles, challenges, things people actually do within the escape room, things people do to interact with my story so that they're actually part of it. And then once I write out those puzzles, I build what I call as a set list. Now, a set list is a list of props, components, technology, furniture, supplies, materials that I need to not only create the set for that story, but to create the tools, the props that people actually interact with during the story. So then I order all that stuff and spend a whole bunch of money. And then once all that stuff comes in, I basically build the sets within the room or series of rooms, and build the puzzles. And then I beta test it, where I bring folks in, some who have done escape rooms, some who have not done escape rooms, to just play the rooms, to make sure the puzzles work, make sure things don't break, make sure everything flows properly. And then once I finish that beta testing process, and the room is 100% ready, then I open it to the general public, and then customers can book time and come in and experience their own adventure.
Wow, that's awesome, man. That's quite a process. It almost kind of seems like to me it's like a mix between like a movie and like a real time like play or something. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it seems to have
absolutely.
those components.
Yeah, and we have live actors in some of our rooms, so there's definitely, a theatrical component to the whole thing. One of the things I love about this business is, it really incorporates art, storytelling, set design, acting. It kind of brings a lot of different, art forms together, kind of into one activity. So yeah, it's definitely cool in that way.
That's awesome. I'm curious. I mean, surely you must love movies, right? Do you like movies?
I do like movies, yeah.
What are some of your favorite movies?
Yeah, we just got together with some friends the other night. We had this same conversation, so this is easy because we just talked through this. So
Yeah.
my number one favorite movie is The Crow,
Yeah.
starring Brandon Lee. Have you ever seen that?
I have, a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, great movie. I'd say, I was kind of at an age I was kind of, at an age where I was in my life at the time. That was just a movie that really appealed to me artistically. Like the set design, kind of combined with the environment they created for that movie and the soundtrack, like it all came together to just create such an immersive environment. And it was kind of a dark story,
Yeah.
but yet, in the end, the good guys won.
Yeah.
There was a line in that movie, where Brandon Lee says, another one of the characters is going through a tough time, and, the particular city that the movie takes place in is just, riddled with violence, and it's downtrodden, and it's just so dark. And Brandon Lee looks at one of the other characters, and he's like, it can't rain all the time, and I just feel like it was a very, kind of some light in all that darkness in the movie. It was a great contrast, and Brandon Lee had a great acting performance. It was his last role. He actually died during the filming of that movie.
Yeah, I remember
So,
that.
just kind of everything came together where I just really appreciated that movie from a storytelling, art, and acting perspective. And probably my second favorite movie is one that my wife and I really enjoyed together, and I never thought I would like, but she introduced me to it years ago, is Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
It's an amazing story, way ahead of its time in terms of production and set design and just cinematography. Just there's so many great things about that movie. I never thought I'd like it, but I totally loved it. And we break out the box every once in a while and watch that.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. I used to have the Crow soundtrack when I was in high school. I was really into the soundtrack of that movie for the Crow. And then I've actually never seen Gone with the Wind. I'm actually a big movie lover. I usually go with directors, not so much like single movies. Gotcha. Or I go with actors. I really like a Daniel Day-Lewis movie.
Oh yeah.
Like his movies are awesome.
So good.
I really enjoy like Martin Scorsese movies, like most people. Lately, which has been out of character for me, is I really gotten to love like the Marvel movies.
Yeah, I know. That's awesome. Me too.
Yeah. I was gonna say, so have you ever had like a Crow escape the room, maybe, or a Marvel?
I try to avoid, like walking that line of licensing.
Oh yeah.
So, but I certainly look back at, movies that I've loved or TV shows that I've loved, and like what they did from a storytelling or set design or environment perspective. I've definitely found inspiration in other people's work that have kind of shaped what I do artistically. Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I'm curious, like, is Escape the Room, is it like a franchise or can anybody do it? Is it not a franchise?
Well, there's a lot of franchises out there. The word Escape the Room is a franchise, but I'm not a franchise. I'm an independent business. So, there's a couple of different routes you could take. You could kind of join a franchise where they just like give you all the stuff, come out to your place, build it for you. You give them a whole bunch of money, and then you open up. Another way to go is to be independent, but you buy kind of these big box escape rooms from escape room designer companies. And you buy the escape rooms and they come out and build them for you. They're kind of out of the box, like you buy a package, right? Or you could do it my way, where you're just a guy that like when I build an escape room, like I peruse antique stores and furniture stores and set design supply companies to find really cool things, and I kind of build all of my props and sets and even my technology in my rooms. I build it all myself, program it all myself. So,
wow.
It's just in the end, I feel like I spend enough time with people telling me what to do. I figure if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it exactly the way that I want to do it. And I think the finished product connects better with customers than kind of a more, fabricated feel.
Yeah, it's not as like cookie cutter.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. What's the thing you like least enjoy about what you do? If there's anything that exists that you least enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, when when you're a small business owner, um, every facet of your business is your business,
Mm.
right? So it's never a situation where my wife and I basically handle 96% of our business functions on our own. Of course, we have an attorney, we have an accountant, we have an insurance agent, but the day-to-day operations, like, we do it, right? So I would say there's no part of my business that I don't like, but because I've just accepted that every facet is part of the whole package. But I'd much rather just build escape rooms all day, and kind of write and paint and do puzzles. But you also have to do stuff like balance sheets, and you have to interview people and hire people and train people and balance the books. And I mean, it's but kind of the grind of the everyday administrative stuff, I'd probably rather not be doing. But as small business owners, like, you can't pay people to do things that you're able to do yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You just can't afford that. So yeah, sometimes some days are a little more grind than fun. Some days are more fun than grind. You just kind of go with the flow,
Yeah. Yeah. What are what's something you just like really, really love about your job? I feel like I've already heard a bunch of things, but
it's the art part of it, man. It's
yeah.
like, being able to make a living as an artist is nearly impossible these days. This has really given me a rare opportunity to the art be what drives our business. So, I know so many talented artists out in the community that I could never even think of producing. I can't even approach their talent level in a specific area, and it's very challenging to make that be your living. I just love that I'm able to make a living doing art, and it's a type of art that is accessible to everyone. There's some people who never want to go to an art museum and like sip wine and eat olives and look at paintings, right? But someone who that might not be their cup of tea could still come to an escape room. They may be looking for a more interactive experience, a more engaging experience, a more casual experience. An escape room is basically, it makes art more interactive and more accessible to folks that maybe wouldn't be pursuing art, in other ways.
Yeah. I'm curious, like, because Doylestown's so saturated with it's a very small business oriented community. What's something that you would share with the small business owners in Doylestown as far as like what you're learning, like maybe entrepreneurially, or how to like keep your business going? Like, what does that make sense?
So I mean, it's from a business perspective, I think this would probably be. I have a policy: I never give advice, but I will answer your question. I wouldn't presume to give, my people who are already in business guidance, right? I mean, so many of my colleagues here in town have been in business for 10, 15, 20 years, but what I would say that, if I were starting a new business in Doylestown today, right, what would I say to you if you came to me and said, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, I want to start a new business in Doylestown today? What I would tell you is two main things. I would say, don't fish where there's already blood in the water. So, in other words, don't open up a shoe store if there's already 10 shoe stores, right? Just because you love shoes doesn't mean that you're going to be able to sell shoes if 10 other people are already selling shoes. All right. So I would say understand your market, understand what opportunities exist in that market, and how you can access those opportunities. If you're passionate about shoes, And there's 10 shoe stores in this little town somewhere, this hypothetical town. But all you want to do is shoes, then I would say sell shoes, but go find a town somewhere that needs a shoe store, where there's a market for those shoes, and you're not fighting with 9 other people, right? So I would say chase what you're passionate about, but understand that what you're passionate about may not be right for the market that you want it to be right for. So understand where you're thinking about doing business. Mm-hmm. My second piece of advice would be to scale your business appropriately and avoid debt. Lack of revenue isn't what kills small business. Debt is what kills small business. So start small, grow your business organically, start making money, set some of the money you make aside to grow your business organically without going to the banks, hopefully at all. So kind of my, the business model that I practiced early in my escape room business, I built one escape room. For every dollar I made for that escape room, I set half aside to build my next escape room, and I used half to run my business. Then I built a second escape room. Then I took half of that escape room, used it to run my business, used the other 50% to build my third escape room. So that's organic growth. You don't need to start big to be successful. You can grow at a reasonable rate and still get where you need to be.
Yeah, that's good, man. I appreciate that. That's really good advice. Man, what's like your vision of Escape the Room? I mean, you've got the one in Doylestown, you've got one in Chestnut Hill now. What's next? Is there a next?
So there's kind of another facet of my business that I haven't talked about. I also have an escape room at Fonthill Castle here in Doylestown. I think we've been there 3 years, 2.5, almost 3 years now. Mm-hmm. I've really enjoyed that experience a lot. So I'd really like to also, continue and evolve my partnership with Mercer Museum and Fonthill Castle, because I believe, first, that museums and escape rooms are perfect for each other, right? Escape rooms do a great job of bringing history to life and making history accessible to people. So I really like to continue to develop that relationship. We're in constant communication with Mercer Museum on ways that we can work together. And I really feel like, I don't know how much you know about Henry Mercer, but in my time working with Fonthill Castle, I've gotten to know more than probably most people know about Henry Mercer, and I think he would love escape rooms. So I'd like to continue to do that. I'd like to continue to improve my product here in Doylestown and in Chestnut Hill. And every couple of years, we redesign, rebuild each escape room. And every time I rebuild, my goal is to present a little bit better of a product for my customers. So in terms of growth, I think I'd just like to keep getting better at what I'm doing. I don't know that there's going to be a third location for us in the future, just because I think we're kind of stretched appropriately right now in maintaining the quality of our product.
Yeah, I'm curious, real quick. It's a great vision. Why Chestnut Hill? I'm assuming that you felt that there was a market there for something like that.
Yeah, so Chestnut Hill actually, from a market perspective, has a lot of parallels to Doylestown.
Yeah.
There's a really good mix of retail, food, culture, residential areas, foot traffic. But much like Doylestown before we started here, Chestnut Hill doesn't have a whole lot of entertainment options. So people want to come to town to eat, to shop, to drink. it's nice to mix in some live entertainment while you're doing that. An escape room, you know, is a type of live entertainment where grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, kids, grandkids can literally all do together and enjoy. So I feel like, Chestnut Hill was I saw the same things in Chestnut Hill as Doylestown. And, while we've grown much more quickly in Doylestown, we've done well in Chestnut Hill also. So, yeah, we definitely want to continue to grow our business down there too.
Yeah, man.
It's a great neighborhood. If you've never been there, Chestnut Hill's a great place to spend the day.
Yeah, it is. My wife and I, we actually lived there for like 2 years,
Cool.
back in 2011 to 2013. And it was everything that you would imagine it to be living there. I went to the restaurants, and it was really cool, man. So I'm actually not surprised at all that an escape the room could work there. It really seems like it could work there. Man, you may not think this, but you're a smart dude. you're,
I guess I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh man, we have to, with this pandemic, I don't like to talk about it too much because we're so enveloped in the pandemic and thinking about it and talking about it. But I just like to ask folks, how is the pandemic really like impacting you personally and maybe as a business? I mean, I think there's obvious ways that it's impacting you as a business, having to be closed for so long. And what are you kind of like learning about yourself during this unique time?
Yeah, so when you're a small business owner, if something impacts your business, it impacts your personal life.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like it has for everyone. The pandemic and the shutdown has definitely added some stress to all of our lives. From a business perspective, you can't do takeout escape rooms. We can't set up escape rooms outside in the parking lot. We can't deliver escape rooms to your house. So while we've been able to do some virtual live broadcast escape rooms, we've also been able to have some pretty solid gift certificate sales.
Great.
During this time, basically through the support of our community, buying gift certificates, doing our live broadcast escape rooms. We have been able to maintain some revenue during this time, but I'd say it's less than 5% of our normal revenue. So it's definitely put a strain on the business. Fortunately, like I discussed with you previously, we have a pretty good business model, low debt, low expenses. We have landlords that have been very flexible and have walked hand in hand with us through these challenges. So we're surviving, and we plan to come out of this, stronger than ever. But it certainly has been a trying time.
Yeah.
In terms of, not so much surviving, our business is going to survive, but in terms of, keeping our vision for the future alive, are we going to be able to build what we want to build, in the next year, 2 years, based on what we've lost over the last 90 days, So, although we're going to come out of this and we're going to have a great product, if I were to say that this hasn't set back like our vision for the immediate future, then, that wouldn't be true. So, but, we'll get through this. I've spent this whole week like cleaning, polishing, getting every detail ready for when we reopen very soon. We're kind of also, we've redesigned the way that we're doing our bookings and what our groups are going to look like, so that people can be as comfortable as possible when we open back up, and feel as safe as possible when they come into our facility. So, and from a personal perspective, we've gotten to spend some really great time together at home. I'd say, that probably it definitely outshines any challenges we've had.
Yeah.
So, that time at home, that time together has definitely been the silver lining in all of this. But at the same time, personally, I've been frustrated with the way that our governor and our state officials have handled this pandemic. I'm frustrated with how local business owners have been treated and the lack of support that we've had from the government during this time. So I'd be remiss if I didn't express that also.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that 100%, man. Yeah, I can feel your pain. But just a couple more questions before we wrap things up. What like besides like that alarm clock and a paycheck, like why are you doing what you're doing? Like what motivates you, right? Like what wakes you up in the morning?
I think a couple things. I mean, what I do is really fun. Like I make money, I make a living, like making games. And awesome. I love games. It's super fun. I mean, there's really nothing else I'd rather be doing. Kind of secondarily, like, I see this as a family business that I'm hoping, in 5-10 years, like I can hand this off to my kids, right? And maybe they want to do it, maybe they don't, but it's going to be there for them, to interact with it the way they want to, and to grow it and continue it the way they want to. So, I really love, seeing that on the horizon. Being able to hand my kids something that, they could, if they choose to kind of keep it rolling, or develop it the way that they want to. So those are motivating for me. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. One of the things I really appreciate about your story is just going from like the pharmaceutical business, which maybe I could be wrong, but it doesn't really seem like an industry that really kind of suits somebody who's like creative like you and likes to create and write and design and stuff like that. Because you're an artist, right? I mean, but how you were able to just go from pharmaceuticals into this with ETR, and like just how it just kind of naturally happened, and you're now in a place where you really like love genuinely what you do, and you're also using your strengths, your skills, your creativity and all that stuff. I think it's awesome how all that happened. That's great.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been fun.
Man, as we wrap up, I'm curious, what if somebody wants to connect with you and ETR, or I don't know, maybe an entrepreneur hears this podcast and they want to connect with you and pick your brain, like how can they contact you? How can they reach out to you?
Yeah, I mean, if someone would like details on our business, they could go to doylestown.escaperoom.com, right? If someone wants to contact us, they can reach out to us at doylestown.escaperoom@gmail.com. Send us an email, and we'd be happy to connect and answer any questions.
Yeah, awesome, man. And as a church, we like to pray for our community. And I always try to ask, how can we be praying for you, your family, whatever it is like you guys are doing in the community? How can we come alongside you guys and pray for you? Is there anything specific, that you guys want us to pray for you guys for?
Yeah, and I think, what I've been praying for, is all the Black Americans that have faced injustice and inequality, and give our country the strength to make things right in that regard.
Yeah.
Also praying for, all the people that, we talk about COVID-19 and how it's destroyed our economy and so many businesses. Let's pray for, the the people who've been infected with this disease and, who've lost their health or lost family members to COVID-19. So, I think, pray for them, and of course for me, the small business owners who aren't going to make it through this, give them the strength and the means to rebuild their dream once they've lost it.
Yeah.
And lastly, the politicians who need to make decisions in the best interest of all people. And they need to balance protecting lives and protecting livelihood. I think we should pray that they make the right decisions for everyone.
Yeah, thanks, man. Those are, awesome prayer requests. I really appreciate all of them. It's been kind of heartbreaking for me to see these small businesses in Doylestown go away. The two in particular, the barbecue place, I forget
Hickory
what it's called.
Kitchen?
Yeah,
Hickory Kitchen.
so good. And then Zenden. I went to Zenden a lot. Just really unfortunate, man. I'm sorry to see just the impact that this pandemic is having on small businesses in Doylestown, but everywhere, everywhere.
Yeah.
But man, I really appreciate your time, man. I really do. Thank you so much. Man, to all the listeners out there, again, this is Jack Dugan from Escape the Room in Doylestown. You know where to reach out to him. You can find our podcasts on our YouTube channel, our Facebook page. We have an Instagram page, and our episodes will soon be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So check them out. Today was Jack Dugan. Just last week, we interviewed the mayor of Doylestown, Ron Strauss. So that was a great conversation. Check that out. You can go to those sources to find that podcast. Jack, thanks again, man. I really appreciate your time. And it's been great getting to know you a little bit more.
Thanks, Brian. I really appreciate it.